two of us. We are in the land of the living.
The government's decision to use its parliamentary majority in the parliament to pass a motion of censure against the leader of the opposition, Dr. Keith Rowley, and to have him suspended from the parliament constitutes, in my view, an abuse of the office and the institution of parliament, and an abuse of the government's power in controlling the majority seats in the parliament. The issue is that you have the Emailgate investigation being conducted by the police. You have it before the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And you have a government which decides to undermine and subvert the police service in Trinidad and Tobago and the office of the DPP by deciding to conduct a debate predetermining the issue which is the subject of investigation. For a government to do this, it shows that it has no respect for the rule of law and it has no respect for the institutions in the country. The second wrong in this matter is that you have a general election which is due. The Parliament has about 5 weeks of life again before it is automatically prorogued. And you have a Prime Minister using the Parliament to use its majority to suspend Dr. Rowley. It seems to me that what is happening here is that the government is using Parliament as a party machinery for election campaigning. In other words, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has made the Parliament Rienzi complex, or has constituted the Parliament as a Monday night forum in which the UNC meets. This is another instance of the government's record in demeaning institutions in this country over the last 5 years. The third wrong about this matter is that where you have an investigation being conducted and you may have persons being charged for criminal offenses who will have to face a jury, the law in this country is that nothing must be done, nothing must be said to predetermine the matter, because that can influence the jury, the potential jurors. And we had the same problem in the Dole Chedi matter, in which the Privy Council ruled that actions like that amount to a contempt of court, and gave the Director of Public Prosecutions the jurisdiction to warn persons of that offense when they sort of prejudge matters in their deliberations. So what the government did is that the government did exactly what the Privy Council in Dole Chedi said must not be done. The government has predetermined the guilt of Dr. Keith Rowley even before the matter reached the court, or before the matter even is completed by the police inquiries or by the office of the DPP. What can happen is if after the general elections and there's a change of government, and let's assume one of the ministers of government one of the present ministers of government, a present minister of government is charged as a result of these investigations, that minister can raise as a defense that there were publication of these matters in the Parliament, and it would be an abuse of process to continue to prosecute that minister. And that is what the Privy Council in the Dole Chedi case wanted to avoid. So what the government has done, it seems as though the government has deliberately decided to predetermine even what the court may decide in this matter by using its majority in the Parliament.
Mr. Maharaj, under these circumstances, what we courts as the PNM and Dr. Rowley's work?
Well, I think Dr. Rowley can go to the courts. I think in a matter like this, the court would exercise jurisdiction and discretion, even though it's a matter in Parliament, because over the last 10 years, we have had cases in the Commonwealth in which the courts are interfering more in respect of abuse of power, even in the Parliament. But I don't think Dr. Rowley would use the weapon of the court. I think Dr. Rowley, as an experienced politician, may use the weapon of public opinion. I believe that the partnership has given Dr. Rowley another major platform in the country to convene a people's parliament outside of the parliament and to have the issues discussed facing the country. This is a move by the government to distract the population from the serious and burning issues in the country at this time. And there is a feeling that the government is trying to provoke the population to react so that the government can create a state of emergency to postpone these general elections. So it seems as though the government strategy is to either have a state of emergency called, to have social and public unrest in the country by provoking the population, because this is a very dumb move by the government. No reasonable thinking person in Trinidad and Tobago would think that this was right. So if I were Dr. Rowley, I would have gone to the public and I would have used the public platform in order to deal with this issue, because this can be a very powerful weapon against the partnership in the upcoming general elections.
Tell me something. Could the CCJ or the Privy Council be an option?
Well, it could only reach the CCJ if there's an appeal process to the CCJ. In Trinidad and Tobago, in respect of these kind of matters, there is no option to go to the CCJ. And the Privy Council, you can only reach the Privy Council if you have a case first in the High Court, it goes to the Court of Appeal, and then it goes to the Privy Council. So the court system in Trinidad and Tobago can be used if Dr. Rowley wants to use it. But 5 more weeks for the Parliament life, it really doesn't make legal sense. But if you remember the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, when an election comes, and the public perception is that the government uses public power in order to oppress a person who may become the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, that person's stock goes up. If you remember in 1995, on the eve of the general election, Basde Pandey was arrested and he was prosecuted on sex charges. It was the feeling at that time that that would have caused the UNC to lose the election, because the public perception would be he was arrested, charged, have sex charges. I was then chief whip in the opposition, and overnight our rating went up because people stood up with us. Our public meetings were 10 times attended as how it used to be attended. And I could go on and on. What the Prime Minister has done over the last 3 months, she has caused all the rates in all of the results in the polls to show an increase in Rowley and a decrease in the Prime Minister. And I have no doubt in my mind that this is one factor which will cause the partnership to lose the next general election.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Ramesh Maharaj.